Well, greetings from Nice. It's just before the Ironman World Championships, and here today we're going to talk about stress, movement, and posture, and even your gut and digestion. So I think one of the most important things is to realize that stress just isn't in your head. It shows up in your posture, your movement, your digestion, jaws, eyes, hips, hamstrings, and of course your gut. So we're going to break this down into a couple of parts or segments so that we can have some clarity, okay? And then at each section, we'll do some intervention so that you can start to realize and feel stress in your body and then how to overcome it, okay? So stress and posture is number one. In our posture, if we are in fight or flight, okay, we tend to have a protective posture. And so that's going to look something like this. Your shoulders will rise, your chest will collapse inwards, and you had a head forward posture, okay? When you breathe, the breath will come up into the top of your chest and your diaphragm and chest will kind of be stuck, okay? So this sort of head forward, chest collapse, shoulders up posture, lift your diaphragm, lift your pelvic floor, and it shuts down rotational movement in your torso and your trunk, which is not ideal for athletic movement, and it's not ideal for your breathing. Number two, the jaw. So there's a link between your jaw and the pelvic floor, and this link's becoming more and more recognized in treatment and in research, okay? So one is, when you clench your jaw, you decrease pelvic movement. So you can try this. You can do soft pelvic rocking, clench your jaw, and then feel how easy or hard it is to rock your pelvis, okay? And you can also practice just sort of walking around with a clenched jaw and then relaxing your jaw. It's a really good idea to relax your tongue as well. So a great jaw relaxing exercise would be you go ya, like stick your tongue out and then hum. The correct tongue posture is really, really important here. So you want your tongue pushing up onto the roof of your mouth, okay? So I'm going to swallow, leave my tongue up on the roof of my mouth. You can say N, although we want a big soft tongue pushing up, lips closed, teeth lightly apart. And from there you can hum or say the word N. The humming will increase your vagal tone, so it's really, really good for your nervous system. Then also you learn a relaxed jaw posture, and that's your proper posture. So you want to basically be nose breathing, lips closed, teeth lightly apart, and hum your way through the day. Humming also slows your exhale, so it brings us back to point number one. So how do we get out of this sort of closed chest, shoulders up, head forward posture? And how do we get out of number, which is a tight jaw and a tight pelvic floor? Both stress reactions is the same way. Long, slow exhales, add humming, because you're getting sort of a 2-for-1. So lips closed, teeth lightly apart. I've been listening to Pavarotti a little bit, and you can like hum along to Pavarotti. Or you can do ultra spiritual humming, or just gentle humming. Okay, it's all the same. So that'll, as your jaw and face relax, your hips relax, your stride opens up, and the humming is a great vagus nerve stimulator, the vibration. The next thing is eyes and focus. So you can see I've got my influencer glasses on because that means I'm very serious. When you are stressed, your vision narrows, and that's because your pupils dilate, and this gives you a locked gaze. It also gives you narrow focus, which is essential if you focused on one very dangerous thing. But also when we stare at screens, we tend to, our pupils dilate because the screens are bright and at a very fixed distance, okay? And so we end up with a very, very narrow focus. I'm sure you've been looking at your screen and you're not aware of passengers, cars, people, or anything around you, okay? And then also we tend to have a head forward posture with a screen, which again is going back to our stress response of sort of head forward posture. And so we can get really, really trapped because this is bidirectional. The posture that we keep and the posture that we sort of habitually make can make us stressed, and stress can make us have the posture. So it's a two-way street. A really, really good tip for relaxing your eyes is to relax your vision. So we do something called pencil push-ups, and this will bring us back onto the next point, which is your sort of back and hamstrings. So it's a really good idea to sort of bend forward, try to touch your toes, see how flexible you are and how much range of motion you have in your back and your hamstrings, and then do pencil push-ups. So I'm going to look at the back of my finger, and then finger goes out straight, the back of my finger straight, and we do like a couple of push-ups. So really focusing on that nail and letting your pupils constrict and contract as they go from near to far. And then after you've done that, like 10 repetitions, you're going to look up and relax your eyes, and I'm going to look at the back of the, I'll take my influencer glasses off. Okay, so I'm going to look at the scene behind me and relax my eyes. So 10 push-ups and then relax your eyes, and then you can go from big relaxed vision back to your eyes, big relaxed vision back to your eyes, and then go back and try and see if you can bend forward and touch your toes and see if you're way more flexible, and the chances are you probably are. One of the other things you can do is when you're racing, especially on a bicycle, is learning in a bicycle or on the run, is learning to relax your eyes. So if you can look up and see the big picture and relax your eyes, and you've got proper jaw posture, it's okay if you're mouth breathing when you're racing hard, but if you can relax your jaw and your eyes, your face will relax, your hips will relax, and that'll bring a lot more sort of power and energy to your hips and function to your hips. It's very difficult to move your hips properly when they're clenched or tight. And so there we go, some performance enhancing tips for the weekend. Okay, and that'll bring us to what's very important for the weekend is digestion and our gut biome. Okay, so stress shunts blood away from the gut. It's supposed to shunt it towards muscles so that you can run away or fight, but your digestion will slow down and food sits heavily in your stomach. Okay, also your cortisol levels will increase, and that changes your gut biome. And very importantly, cortisol will affect your insulin sensitivity. So if you have high cortisol levels, you probably have big insulin spikes, which is really not what we want. Okay, so it's not always about the sugar, it's about the context of the sugar that you take in. And then you also, the stress, chronic stress ends up with a microbiome inflammation, and inflammation in your gut is inflammation everywhere. And then you start having this sort of weird brain-gut axis feedback loop. Okay, so it's not great. And the other one in terms of racing is often people's nutrition doesn't work on race day, and it's got more to do with the stress they were in the week leading up to the race, and also in the sort of the stress of the moment. So a lot of people are so stressed, so anxious, can't regulate their nervous system. By the time they're warmed up, there's no blood in their stomach. And then you go and do a swim that's probably harder than you should do because you're excited and it's the World Championships, and you get out and you're on the bike and you're wondering why you're not digesting your nutrients. One of the easiest analogies of this is if you're very stressed, you walked up on a stage and had to speak to 100,000 people, you might vomit before, or you're certainly not going to be able to eat. But if you're in a relaxed restaurant with soft sound and good lighting and around with friends and you're comfortable and you're laughing, you can eat the whole table, okay, and digest the whole table, and it's good for you. So stress and gut health is intricately linked. Let's just go through like a real big practical reset. We can shrug our shoulders up towards our ears, hold them there for a little bit, and then drop them down, and then our shoulders will hang lower. We can open our heart, really good idea. We can do the jaw relaxing and humming. We can do the soft eyes movement. Breathing, nose breathing in and out, unless you're exercising, is really, really crucial, and always focus on the exhale. So when in doubt, exhale. Long, slow exhales. You should be able to, after this, go for a walk and practice your moves and see if it feels better. We have other tools that we can use, but it's got to be real for you, and you want to practice this and start to sort of see the distance. What I can tell you is definitely crocodile crawling is amazing. So the crawling patterns stimulate your dorsal vagus nerve, which I'm really excited about, seeing this sort of change and empowerment in people's movings. So I need to do a nice video on crocodile crawling patterns and its incredible influence on our autonomic nervous system. But anyway, closing thoughts: stress is rigidity, heavy, stiffness. I could go on. Okay, there's more. There's stress decreases your reaction times, it makes you more prone to injury, decreases your sleep. Just there's legions. Stress is rigidity and heavy and a tension that you don't want in your body. And calmness will be open and fluid. And you can see it in your jaw, your eyes, your hip, your gut. And so you really do want to soften your stress to free up your movement. And to those racing this weekend, good luck. And to those racing any weekend, good luck.